Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. Landlocked Ethiopia's pursuit of a sovereign naval base on the Red Sea risked igniting a massive regional conflict with Somalia and Egypt. In this explainer, we're going to analyze this huge strategic shift from inland defense to maritime power, and really try to figure out if the deal with Somaliland was a masterstroke of geopolitical necessity or a catastrophic military overreach.
And hey, if you want more explainers that break down complex global conflicts just like this one, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel.
So, this right here is the heart of the matter. It's the central question we're tackling today. On one side, you've got a nation with over 120 million people that is just desperate for a gateway to the world. But on the other, you have a move that literally threatened to redraw the map of the Horn of Africa. So, which is it? Let's get into it. To really get a grip on what happened, you have to start with Ethiopia's central problem. For more than 30 years, it's been one of the most populous landlocked countries on Earth, stuck in what some have called a geographic prison. And this isn't just about national pride or prestige. This is fundamentally about economic survival. And this slide, wow, this really puts a price tag on that prison. Ethiopia is paying somewhere between $1.5 and $2 billion every single year, mostly to its neighbor Djibouti, just for port access. To put that into perspective for you, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed pointed out that the amount they spend on these fees every 3 years could build another grand Ethiopian Renaissance dam. That is a staggering economic burden that just crushes their ability to compete on the world stage. So how on earth did they end up here? Well, the story really unfolds over 3 key dates. Back in 1993, Eritrea gains its independence. And just like that, Ethiopia loses its entire coastline overnight. Now, for a few years, things were tense, but they worked. But then, 1998 hits. A brutal war breaks out between the two, and Ethiopia is completely cut off from the Eritrean ports of Assab and Massawa. This forced them into almost total reliance on Djibouti, and that leads us directly to the bombshell move on January 1, 2024, a landmark agreement with the self-declared Republic of Somaliland. Now, this agreement itself was incredibly audacious. Ethiopia was set to get a 50-year lease on 20 kilometers of coastline to build its own naval base. And in return, Somaliland, which, has been fighting for international recognition since 1991, would get the one thing it's always wanted, to be officially recognized as a sovereign state by Ethiopia. It was a massive, high-stakes gamble meant to solve Ethiopia's biggest problem in one fell swoop.
Right. But what looked like a brilliant move in Addis Ababa was seen as a complete disaster by pretty much everyone else. The reaction was immediate and it was furious, especially from Mogadishu, Somalia's capital, which, of course, considers Somaliland to be its own sovereign territory. This deal didn't just make waves, it honestly threatened to start a war and destabilize the entire Horn of Africa. And this quote from Egyptian President El-Sisi really shows you just how serious the backlash was. I mean, Egypt already has plenty of its own tensions with Ethiopia over the Nile River, so they saw this move as a direct threat. They immediately jumped in to back Somalia, signaling that a powerful new bloc was forming, aimed squarely at stopping Ethiopia's ambitions in their tracks. And almost overnight, the region split right down the middle into 2 opposing camps. On one side, you had what some analysts started calling the Somaliland axis. That's Ethiopia and Somaliland, with some pretty serious backing from the UAE and, a bit more quietly, from Israel. And on the other side, the containment axis. Somalia, supported by a very formidable partnership with Egypt and Ethiopia's old arch-rival, Eritrea. The battle lines were officially drawn. So, with the whole region teetering on a knife's edge, a major outside power stepped in to pull everyone back from the brink. Turkey, which has really deep economic and strategic ties all over the region, saw the danger loud and clear. It moved in to mediate, and that led to a diplomatic off-ramp that, frankly, nobody saw coming. Then, on December 11, 2024, the leaders of Ethiopia and Somalia met in the Turkish capital and signed what became known as the Ankara Declaration. This agreement basically nullified the controversial Somaliland deal. It was a true masterclass in diplomacy that tried to give both sides what they desperately needed without having to go to war for it. And here's the clever compromise they worked out. First, and this was absolutely crucial for Mogadishu, the declaration reaffirmed Somalia's sovereignty and its territorial integrity. But
And this is the key part, it also formally acknowledged Ethiopia's legitimate need for sea access. So the path forward was now commercial, not political. Ethiopia would get its port, but it would be through a standard lease or contract, all under the sovereign authority of the Federal Republic of Somalia. The Somaliland gambit was officially over. But here's the thing. Even with the immediate crisis averted, the fallout from this whole episode has fundamentally redrawn the strategic map. The alliances and the rivalries that flared up so quickly, they haven't just vanished. In fact, you could argue they've hardened into new, more durable strategic blocks with interests that go way beyond just port access.
Exactly. This crisis actually revealed a powerful convergence of global players. A new axis seems to be emerging around the Red Sea, and it links Israel, India, the UAE, and Ethiopia. Each one brings something different to the table. Israel offers expertise and a possible path to recognition for Somaliland. India sees a way to secure its vital trade routes. The UAE brings the capital and shares strategic goals. And Ethiopia, of course, brings its regional power and its urgent need. This is a formidable new alliance, and it's all focused on securing the Red Sea.
And just to throw another layer of great power politics into the mix, Russia has also stepped into the arena. In March of 2025, Moscow and Addis Ababa signed a naval cooperation agreement. So now, Russia is set to help Ethiopia rebuild its navy from scratch. That's a huge move that puts Moscow right in the middle of the maritime security dynamics of this incredibly crucial region.
So you might be sitting there in London or Tokyo or Washington, D.C. thinking, why should I care about a port dispute in the Horn of Africa? Well, the reason is that this region isn't just some collection of local squabbles. It's a critical artery for the entire global economy.
The key takeaway here, really, is that this region controls the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait. That's the narrow waterway where a massive percentage of all global trade and energy supplies have to pass through. So what happens here directly impacts shipping costs and supply chains for all of us. This crisis has really put a spotlight on just how fragile the stability of the region is, and it shows how it's become this nexus of competition between the US, China, Russia, and major Middle Eastern powers. Which leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? Ethiopia still needs sea access. The new alliances that formed are still very much in place, and that global competition for influence, it's only getting more intense. So, was the Ankara Declaration a genuine solution that created lasting stability? Or was it just a temporary truce in a much, much longer struggle for control of the Red Sea?
So what do you all think? Lasting stability or just a temporary truce? We really want to hear your thoughts, so drop them in the comments section below. And hey, if you found this explainer useful, it would mean the world to us if you hit that like button, share it, and of course, subscribe to the Global War Watch Network. You can also join our community on social media. All the links are waiting for you in the description. Thanks so much for watching.